Manuel Pellegrini is a manager who still does not get the respect he deserves. For decades, the Estadio Benito Villamarin was chasing the shadows of his city rival Sevilla, a club that had become a consistent European force and built an identity as one of Europe's elite with the amount of Europa League trophies that they have won. Even Betis' traditional mantra, Viva Er Betis Manque Pierda, or Long Live Betis even if they lose, reflected a romanticized acceptance of suffering. When Manuel Pellegrini arrived at Real Betis in 2020, the Verdiblancos were a fractured institution sitting in 15th place in La Liga. Fast forward to May 2026 and the landscape in the green part of Seville is almost unrecognizable. Real Betis are no longer just the romantic underdogs of Andalusia. Under Manuel Pellegrini, they have become one of the most stable, intelligent, and consistently competitive teams in Spanish football. Chapter 1. Real Betis finished in the top 6 only once in the last 12 years before Manuel Pellegrini's arrival. Since he took over, they have only finished outside the top 6 one time. Before Pellegrini, Betis were capable of producing beautiful moments but rarely capable of sustaining a serious project. Since his arrival, they have gone from an unstable La Liga team to one of La Liga's most reliable European contenders. In his early days, Betis relied heavily on individual brilliance from players like Sergio Canales and Nabil Fekir to help them get out of trouble. While that approach was effective in bursts, it was always vulnerable to injuries, form dips, and the emotional chaos that had often followed the club. By the 25-26 campaign, Pellegrini had instilled his personal identity to the club, and that can be seen anywhere from the transfer market to the performances on the pitch. No longer content with basic control and passive play, Betis now use the ball to provoke their opponents. Opponents are baited into pressing, creating organized spaces for Betis to exploit through passing angles. The traditional 4-2-3-1, or at times a free-moving 4-3-3, remains the blueprint, but its application is incredibly fluid. The midfield pivot can drop to help progression, the attacking midfielders rotate between lines, and off-ball movement has replaced isolated dribbling as the primary method of penetration into the final third. Defensively, the transformation is equally clear. Pellegrini has established a mid-block that prioritizes spatial compactness over chaotic high pressing. By suffocating the central channels, Betis force opponents wide into areas where they can manage the rhythm of the game more comfortably. Chapter 2. A manager is only as good as the tools at his disposal, and Pellegrini has worked in perfect harmony with the board to execute some of the smartest transfer business in Europe. Operating without the financial muscle of Barcelona or Real Madrid or even someone like Sevilla, Betis have relied on niche recruitment, distressed assets, tactical fits, and highly motivated individuals seeking redemption. Take Pablo Fornals, for example. Operating creatively between midfield and attack, Fornals has been nothing short of sensational, registering 8 goals and 6 assists while dictating the offensive tempo during the 25-26 season. Behind him, the acquisitions of Marc Roca and Sofia Amrabat on loan have given Betis a strong midfield foundation, allowing the forwards the freedom to express themselves without leaving the back door unlocked. But it is the forward-line overhaul that truly reflects Pellegrini's vision at the club. Recognizing the need for verticality and raw output, Betis brought in Colombian striker Cucho Hernández and Brazilian winger Antony under him. Cucho has led the line as a ruthless, mobile finisher, scoring 15 goals this season. Antony, revitalized under Pellegrini after a horror stint at Manchester United, has silenced his critics and won over the Betis faithful. Complementing these additions is the continued rise of Abde Esalzuli, who has become one of La Liga's most feared wide attackers. At the back, the integration of Brazilian centre-back Nathan alongside Diego Llorente and Hector Bellerin has solidified the defensive line. Guarded by the reliable Alvaro Valles in goal, Betis have built something special that Los Heliopolitanos had not seen in years. Chapter 3. Perhaps the most incredible statistic of Manuel Pellegrini's tenure at Real Betis is that he has managed to qualify Real Betis into Europe in every single season he's been here. And now, after multiple Europa League and Conference League campaigns, he has secured the holy grail for Real Betis, the UEFA Champions League. But before setting their sights on Europe's premier competition, Real Betis first had to prove that they could navigate a deep continental run. That proving ground arrived during the 24-25 UEFA Conference League, a historic journey that ended agonizingly close to a European trophy for Real Betis. Pellegrini navigated the newly implemented 36-team league phase well, rotating his squad effectively to balance La Liga ambitions and European progression. The star of that Conference League campaign was captain Isco. The veteran playmaker experienced a renaissance just like Antony, and he came agonizingly close to adding another European trophy to his cabinet. His efforts earned him the prestigious UEFA Conference League Best Player Award of the tournament. The final itself, held on May 28, 2025, pitted Betis against an English juggernaut in Chelsea. Despite a valiant, hard-fought effort, the financial and squad depth disparity eventually showed. Chelsea claimed a 4-1 victory driven by goals from Enzo Fernandez, Nicolas Jackson, Jadon Sancho and Moises Caicedo. However, the defeat was absolutely not viewed as a failure back in Seville. Reaching a major European final validated Pellegrini's entire project. It showed that Betis were not just a cute little La Liga team capable of occasional upsets. No, it showed that they are now a serious European side, built on a foundation that's strong enough to compete beyond Spain. That final became less of an ending and more of a stepping stone towards the next stage of the project. Chapter next. Following the heartbreak and motivation of the Conference League final, Real Betis knew that they cannot stop. They need to keep on progressing and making themselves better and aim for further recognition in Europe. And that ambition has now been realized with Betis' qualification to the next season's Champions League. Real Betis under Manuel Pellegrini have qualified for the Champions League for the first time in 21 years. 21! Can you do some for me? They secured a massive top 5 finish with 57 points in 37 games, and for a club that has spent so many years living between chaos, romance and inconsistency, this feels like the culmination of a project that has been 6 years in the making. In fact, this is one of the longest spells, if not the longest spell, that Pellegrini has stayed at a single club. The board backed and gave him time and let him do his magic. The players bought into his ideas and played their hearts out for him. The fans, who had seen enough false dawns over the years, finally had a project that rewarded their patience. And now the foundation is firmly set. The stadium infrastructure is elite as Betis renovate the Benito Villamarin. The financial health of the club has been stabilized by consistent European revenue, and the squad depth points towards a bright, sustainable future. Manuel Pellegrini has woven his magic in Triana, and the UEFA Champions League anthem is finally going to be played in every little Betico household. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you drop a like and subscribe to La Liga Vic. I will see you in the next one. Hasta luego.